much, Grasha Maingi, for that very interesting conversation. How does she not know what a face card is? Na yake yenyewe hai decline. Surely, hata nimemwambia kidogo, itabidi tumemchuna just a little bit. Her face card is not declining, but she does not know what it means. Anyway, so ametoka at least with some knowledge of something, with some banter, All right. Ni sawa kama hujawatch your interview, it's fine. No one will beat you, but we encourage you to watch it at Y254 on YouTube. Very interesting. She has learned how to catwalk today. Something about tees with feet. And sijui, something like that. So please do check it out. Hashtag of the day is Why in the Morning. My name is Valentine. And now we have reached the end of, well, tail end of the show. Not the end just quite yet, but we're gearing up to that. But before we do, we're going to have a little bit of spice and everything nice in between. And we have a conversation yet that we mentioned in the beginning. But if you're just catching us, we're going to talk about pressure in relationships, and I would be remiss if I did not touch on at least two aspects of relationship. That's as friends and of course romantic, or what they call the eros kind of situation. But before that, good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Munakaa smart.
Thank you.
Wewe ni kama tuliongea kwa kona. I'm saying we're wearing red and black. Literally. Okay. All right, let me start with you. What's your good name?
My name is Rhoda Karaoke.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about yourself in a sentence or two, Rhoda. Who are you? Who is Rhoda?
Rhoda is a passionate psychologist.
Okay.
I'm also a maternal mental health advocate.
Okay.
I advocate for the mental health of mothers before giving birth and after giving birth. It needs support in that. And I'm also the founder to Assist Kenya, where we provide mental health services, that is counseling. We also provide training to corporates, groups, everything mental health anywhere.
Oh wow. Right. So how do you, if maybe someone in the audience or someone home watching and they want to perhaps tap into your services as a counselor, how can we do that?
You can reach out to me via my social media handles at Rhoda Speaks, all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. Or you can also check us out at To Assist Kenya. Yes.
And there's, I'm going a lot. Just 1 second. Let me just finish up because I want this thought to finish by this thought initoke. Yeah. Wacha niseme initoke. Wacha tu niseme initoke. We have this misconception. I don't know if it's as Africans or as Kenyans that therapy is one, expensive, and it's unnecessary, quote unquote. Ama ni kuongea tu. In fact, kuna mtu alikuwa ananiambia I think a few weekends ago ati sasa people, okay, she was making a joke out of it, but alikuwa anasema ati ukishatoka kwa bar sasa zisha nice, that's when you're the most honest. Now that's when you're supposed to go to therapy. But why should we wait for, can we not just eliminate the middleman? Why do we need liquid courage to come and speak our mind? So do you think that's what Kenyans think? Is it expensive and is it a waste of time, quote unquote?
Okay, one, therapy is necessary. It's not a luxury.
And
also it's a treatment plan. You come to therapy because you are not well. Your mental health is not well. That's why you come to therapy. Not just because someone wants to talk. No, I hear people saying that we hauna anxiety, uko na wasiwasi.
Wow.
Avana, maybe it's anxiety, and anxiety is a disorder, and you need help for that. And also, it's not so much affordable, because also affordability or expensive or cheap is relative. Kuna mtu mingine 1,000 is cheap, kuna mtu mingine 1,000 is expensive. But now we have different sort of therapies. Ama therapists ni wingi, where you can reach out to when you unaweza afford.
Okay, I feel like I can hold that for a minute. Then let's come to you. What's your lovely name?
I'm Tamari Resiato. I must say I'm 20 years old.
You must.
I must say, you must know.
Okay, please, let it be known.
Yes, and I'm a student of law at the University of Nairobi in my second year. And I'm very passionate about mentorship. So because of that passion, I started the Magal Foundation. Okay. When I was 18, I'm a very vibrant person. I have a lot of energy. And the reason why I started was because I felt a disconnection. I'm a person who's very exposed. I've been mentored. You know, I've had parents who know the value of education and mentorship. So they've made sure that I haven't lacked anything in life. They've made sure that I have had people to mentor me. Literally, if I fail in this life, it will be my fault. And when I would go home for holidays, I come from Narok in Kilgoris. Spending time with my peers was very hard, because you find that my dreams are different like it's like we're in two different worlds. And I would ask there's one time I asked my mom, kwani what's so different about me and them? Like mbona tu mtu asifikirie, why are you thinking here? You know, mbona why is your dream that after high school you just want to get married? As if marriage is going to give you sustainability, which is not a bad thing, but what next? Okay, so you want to get married, what next? So when I asked her that question, she told me that comparing myself with them is not being fair. Because look at the opportunities I've gotten and what they've been able to get, it's not the same. You find that someone has grown up in a very poor family, they've just been in the village, so what they know is what they see. What they know is what they see best people doing and what they've seen in their environment. So maybe primary you went to the village, secondary ulikuwa tu hapo, so you find that you'll compare yourself with the highest in your circle. So you can't compare, I couldn't compare myself with them. And so I asked, so how can I help? With all that I have and all that has been deposited in me, how can I help? And where can I at least try and do something? And that's when we started the Magal Foundation, to provide mentorship and try to bring, in as much as not all of us can get the opportunity to go to where the opportunities are, at least those who've gotten the opportunities can bring it back home. So we do mentorship, we do, especially with schools, sexual reproductive health and rights. I can talk a lot about that, but I don't want to go into it. So we also do economic empowerment to ensure that girls are able to know how to get an income for themselves apart from being employed. Because if you can play it, if you can do this beadworks, it's something that can earn you as you wait maybe for employment. And we also do climate action, because in our community we really depend on the climate in feeding our animals, in the crops, so it's a source of livelihood, so we really have to take care of our environment. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
All that in an intro. You can tell we're going to have a very good time. I like it. I like it when my panelists know how to express themselves properly. This is going to be fun. So I was casually trying to warm them up into this situation where it's not an interview per se. In fact, my job here is just to moderate. So I'll just throw the questions or the topic at you, give you a couple of case studies, examples, and then you give me your humble opinion. Your humble opinion. All right, so let us get into it. I want to say it verbatim according to admin. So admin asks, pale kwa mtandao. So the tagline is pressure in relationships. So the question is, Jema, okay, yes, like I said, I must be remiss if I just talk about one end of a relationship, that is the romantic or eros. So we're going to touch on friends also, but the question as posed is, je, maboy wanafaa provide kila kitu kwa relationships? And I want to bring you first to the genesis of the conversation. So there is a gentleman who was at the time a police officer, pale Homa Bay, and this story is a couple of days old. So a series of events happened in his life. Now we are coming to find out about it at the tail end of his own life. So he writes down a note and basically a will. So he says where his gadgets will go, who they'll go to. He tells us, or he told his community or family members how to dispose of his body. He hata alisema hataki kaburi, ni sawa. Amesema blankets. That's not even the worst part, but let me get there. So he said, anataka blanketi tuwekwe. He wanted sijui who to entertain during. Na alisema chakula isipikwe. Watu hiyo a little bit ili catch off guard. He was very specific. Na msikule, please mukuje museme kwaheri na muende. Mfanye kenye mmekuja kufanya na muende, please. Hakuna mtu anapikiwa kitu. Yes, so he detailed that, and then he comes, I don't know if it was at the beginning or the end, but somewhere there, he tells us, or he wrote down someone allegedly was the cause of all his misery. So I'm assuming that the story insinuates that his wife cheated on him, and they have children, I think 2, if I'm not wrong. Please, again, I'm fuzzy with the details, but this is the general gist of the story, which birthed the conversation today. So, so akasema huyu ndo amefanya makosa, na in fact akasema hata venye naenda nitakutafuta tu. So I'm not understanding that threat, how it's going to be executed, but ni sawa tu. That's not for me to understand. So he says that, all that, etc., etc., etc. And then now we come to the end where he says, I'm sorry to all the people, my friends, I let you down. Wenye pia mlinisaidia kugaranta sijui.
Sasa nilihurumia watu alone.
I am very sorry nimewa let down. At least he's being thoughtful. He's saying I'm sorry. Yeah. He's not backing at that he's sorry, but he at least alisema makosa ni yangu kidogo hapa wakuu, lakini vile tu nimeona nimefika mwisho. Hadi akasema something in Jesus name. Hata hiyo pia kidogo niliangalia nikasema okay. All right. So now the story is this particular person took the lives of his children and his own life. I'm not quite sure why the children were involved, and it's also saddening to me that he took his own life in the first place. But it was very shocking for me to see how premeditated it was. He even sat down, and you know, when you're going through something, I've been to therapy once or twice, a couple of times, and they tell you to journal when you're going through something. So I'm assuming that the idea of writing or typing something out, utajiuliza, nini naenda kufanya. There's no flashback, or there's nothing that is telling inakushikilia break. You know, it's very not impulsive. You're not premeditation. Like umeka, you formed sentences, then you wrote them down, ukaprint, ukaziacha mahali, and then you went on to proceed to do what you were threatening to do. Yes, he executed what he said he would do. So I want you to first help me understand where his mind was at. Was that a disorder? Was that stress? What was that?
Okay. First, I can tell the man was very hurt. Nobody gets the place of suicide. Just hivyo tu. It's hurt, and then you chungu mingi sana ilifika mahali he's like, I can't handle this. To a place paka those wenye ako na loans zao wanawaambia, you know what, I can't do this. You know, huyo mwenye pia maybe what the wife did, maybe if that's the case. And so you can tell he's very, very hurt. I can say maybe it was a disorder because we don't know the diagnosis, but he could maybe have experienced depression.
Okay.
And then also you can tell he was having the suicidal ideations by the fact that he was writing it down, and it's one of the guidelines to know that someone is suicidal. Someone will start writing wills. You know, kuna ila kuandika will kawaida, na kuna ila kuandika will that, you know, someone is not old, someone is just maybe just working, ameanza kuandika will, ameanza kudivide properties, kitu yenye mtu alikuwa anapenda, ameanza kupeana. You can tell that this person could be suicidal or is suicidal. Na naweza kuwa pia labda alikuwa ameverbalize. So he could have experienced depression, and then we don't know if he got help. Clearly, maybe he never got help, or maybe he never got professional help to help him come out of where he was. And then we don't know how long ago the issues had started. Maybe it was a cycle of events. Maybe it's not just that you said he was a policeman?
Yes.
So maybe it also had maybe a traumatic event that he had seen at work. So he is coping with things at work, coping at things at home. So he finds himself like, he feels like nothing is working out in his life. And so akafika mahali akaona, you know what, I think the only decision is for him to prefer death over life.
All right, so I want to ask you, in terms of community, we often, okay, let me localize this. You know, sometimes, fikiria haraka pia ina disturb because I want to say one thing, then another thought has come, but let me localize this. So there is a person that we recently lost here at the workplace to a similar kind of situation. He took his own life, let me put it like that. And we're having a debate as a community. Is there something we could have done? Is there something we could have said? Would there have been a conversation maybe we would have had to instigate? Unajua pia nikikuuliza kama uko sawa alafu uniambie sasa now what do I do? Because I want to believe that everyone, to each his own cross, yes? But again, as part of a community, you know, man is no island. You cannot live by yourself. But how can I help you if you don't reach out? How do we place this in a community setting? How do we give voice to the voiceless, or the people who, I don't even know how to describe this?
I think from my personal experience, it would be, first it's very hard because you find depressed people, maybe you can confirm, mostly they are the happiest. They try to really smile and they try to hide things. And now how do you differentiate between a person who's actually okay and a person who's actually trying to hide something? But what we can do is try these community things that we do. You'll notice that they maybe don't come maybe you guys plan a hangout as a community, you find that most of the times they just have excuses, they're not around. So what we can do is just try and reach out. Hata akikataa, hata akifanya nini, you just try things like, instead of asking them how are you doing, you can try maybe inviting them to stuff and tell them this is something that I think would be good for you. So you invite them out so that they can have more time with people than with themselves. But also the close people really matter, the close circle, because your close circle know you. So mostly even you find that your closest friend or family member usually knows that even when you're smiling, they know that maybe she's just hiding something. So it also goes back to who are your closest people, and who maybe now as us we can say who are my closest friends, so that those who are in your circle, you become responsible for them, so that you notice that you take time. It actually needs commitment to take time and learn your friends and know, so that you can know their patterns, you know when they are not okay. There's so much we can do, but I always say you can only stretch as far as your hand can reach. And that's where you do, so that if anything happens, you know that you did your best. You know, you tried where you could. And maybe you can tell us more, because she's
actually, I'm waiting for her to jump in anytime now. Expert.
Okay, for people who are, let's say, introverted, it's hard, can be hard sometimes to tell if someone is going through something, because you choose to be in your own space more, and it's okay, it's perfectly okay. And now I will add on to what she says about having a close circle, because those are the people who will know wakati hauko sawa. There is how you speak, there is the activities that you love. Maybe you love watching movies, maybe you love just going for a swimming, maybe you love whatever it is that you love. That close circle, hao ndio wanajua. But if you don't have that close circle, then nobody will know when you're going through something. And as much as we would love to reach out to you and to help you, you also have a responsibility to decide, me stuck up and I'm depressed, I'm going to tell someone. Even if I don't have access to a professional, let me go to a friend. Nenda nimwambie, by the way, sisikii poa, and I'm experiencing 1, 2, 3. So that whatever it is that I'm going through, kuna mtu mwingine anajua. And hata kifika mwisho watakuwa anajua, I sought help. But we need to remember that someone who is experiencing depression, one akona zile feelings of worthlessness, so anajiona hafai. Then amefika place anaamini there is no help for me. And even if I reach out, sisisaidika, even if I go to therapy, I can never go back. Maybe it's hurt, maybe it's like now the relationship, maybe amekuwa heartbroken and I feel that was the only person for me, I cannot amount to anything, I'm useless. Maybe the words zenye aliambiwa akibreak up, aliambiwa you are so useless, you amount to nothing. So huyo mtu amefika mahali anajua hata nikisik help I can get better, because my life was anchored on your relationship ilipita. So this person may not even reach out for help, because anaamini there's no help for me. So it's upon now us, kama may reach out, well and good, but kama uko kwa circle yake, reach out to him. Na akikureject, because sometimes someone who may be experiencing depression anaweza kureject ile help unampea hataki, but unafaa ukumbuke mtu anajifeel ako worthless. Hata ukimpea gift anaweza kurudishia. Unaweza mbaya vitu aende apeane, because ana feel sifai kuwa na hiyo kitu. So pia wewe mwenye unamsaidia ufai kukufa moyo. You know, you need to encourage yourself, keep showing up, keep making that call, keep texting. Hata akaange akijuanga, hata akifika mwisho, there's someone who tried their very best. And then pia, cause it can be very hard for you also to deal with the person, it can be very much drained, maybe you have your own life that is going on. Make sure you may specify availability yako kwa huyo mtu. Mwambie I'm available from maybe 6 p.m. to maybe 9 p.m. because 8 to 5 niko job. So I may not be able to pick your call. Kumbuka huyu mtu vile ana experience ana feel akikupigia you're not picking up the call, atasema hata val ashachokeshwa na maneno yangu. So I can as well niende. Yes, so it's an intentional decision from yeye mwenyewe to decide that I want to share what I'm going through. And now as for us pia, we reach out, ujue personal limits zako, communicate, mwambie mimi niko available from this time to this time, I can help you up to this level. If not that, I can refer you to a professional mwenye najua. Even if utamulipia, ama kama maybe kama anaweza kujilipia, well and good. Kama wewe utamulipia, mulipia. Utakuwa unajua I did my very best.
Okay, all right. You said something very important and I want to put a pin on it. I'll circle back to it. You said something about boundaries. Okay. Boundaries is very, very important in this kind of relationship, because you might have someone who now becomes very dependent on you, and then now it becomes a little bit taxing for you. What started off as let me help you, I am here for you. Sasa Yeah, so boundaries is something I'm hoping we get to talk a little bit more about. But I want to us to come back to this. So I was watching a particular. Thank God for TikTok. I mean, sijui kama ako platform, it does not shine as much as it should because everything is on TikTok. Everything. Hakuna lifestyle issue hapo unaweza kama unajisikia na uende tu TikTok na kuna watu watakuwatch na watakuappreciate.
It is true.
Eh?
Hata kamera ikuwe mbaya ikuwe nini.
Kwanza hizo ndio tunataka. Hizo ndio tunataka. We want those ones. We want those ones. Anyway, so I come across this particular person. So anaendanga kwa streets. He goes to streets and then I just ask your name and then this particular I saw them back to back na si ati nilikuwa nimezitafuta, so I thought this perhaps was a sign. Yeah, so the question was, how was your last breakup? And it happened to be both of them were guys. So the first one said he found pia wasichana to have meeting after this. Anyway, so msichana she tells boyfriend, "Ebo, go on my phone and check sijui alikuwa sijui anametuma." Mwenyewe msichana amesema, "Please go to my phone and check this." Sijui mans, unaona hiyo kading message inaingia shanga. Unani anamtext. Boop. Na ukumbuke, you're the one who has sent your boyfriend to your phone. Hakuna mtu, no one snuck around, no one waited for you to go to the shower. Maana hiyo mimi ya unoga na simu iko kando. Nothing like that happened. Wewe mwenyewe ndio ulimtuma. Okay. So he goes to the phone, sees a message, questionable message, and then he does not keep it to himself. He asks, so what's this, what's going on? Said, there's nothing. I was uko sure, when niambie tu. So it turns out the girl was still not over her ex, and now by the time they were breaking up, aligundua, bele sasa ndio ikaanza kugrow vizuri. So while they were dating, she was pregnant with her ex's baby. So that's how they broke up. So the boy is still healing. Mwingine was in the military and he came back to find sijui bibi yake pia anafanya nini, and this particular guy was being abused both verbally and I think psychologically. And it's not easy mwanaume akubali. First of all, he's going through abuse. Second of all, abuse by other gender, and other gender ni sisi, ni sawa. So I am concerned, and I don't want to turn this to have an effect that you believe that we are saying that wasichana si ndio tuko na shida. We are saying there are problems. People have problems. Some of those people are women, some of those people are men, and some inflict on each other and vice versa. Okay? So tutajuaje mwanaume ako na shida? In your community or in your outreach program, you mentor mostly girls, I'm assuming, because you've mentioned something about early pregnancy or early marriages. But how do you know a man has hopes and dreams also? Yeye pia ataki kuanza kuzaazaa mapema, hata yeye anataka how can you tell? Are there signs, are there symptoms? Is there even a platform for a man to say something like that?
So what I've seen in my community mostly, you find that when people are in high school, it's easier to contain and to have, people are usually having a lot of dreams. But once you're out of high school and now it's the bridge between high school and campus, that's when you find most young men end up, mostly in our community, mostly it's drugs. Oh, wow. Yes, sometimes it's just peer pressure because you find that others are doing it and I don't want to be left out. Maybe ukikataa kufanya, maybe wanakuambia, maybe you're not a man enough because kwani unaogopa, it's just a path. Kwani we ni dem, kwanza watu wanaambiwa hivyo, kwani unaogopa nini? So you find that some will just get into drugs to prove a point that they can do it and that they are man enough. But mostly you'll find ni kama tu nimesema tabia zina change. Unapata one person who was very ambitious, one person who was actually doing very well in school, had very nice dreams, was the hope of the community, you find that they start to slip away in activities that they were doing, they're no longer doing. Or maybe wameanza imechange tu, unapata mwenye alikuwa kama alikuwa anaenda church, unapata siku hizi maybe atakuja ikifika tu church imesha hivi ameshapotea, hamwezi muona, ataanza kuwa avoidant, and then companies change. You find that the circle of friends they have is different, and mostly I think also it's also the pressure, because you find that mostly men who are firstborns, there's a lot of pressure from their fathers on what you're supposed to do, what are you supposed to accomplish. So some of them don't have that capacity to hold that pressure, because after all we are all human beings, and it reaches a point where you can't hold that pressure anymore. So unapata mtu anasema kumbe hata siwezi fanya kitu, acha tu ikae. So they run away to search. And mostly you find, ukiangalia these circles of people who take drugs and do alcohol, they are very welcoming. Ukienda kwa hata kwanza wa cigarette, they'll just give you, you can have a puff. you can do this. So akienda ukanya napate, these people are welcoming me, they're
nice.
accepting me, they're so nice. So why not?
They listen and they don't judge.
Exactly. And then sa shida inakuja, so unajiambia sasa sini once. It's just one time, you know. I can do it just once in a while when I'm stressed, but then eventually you become dependent. And then now you can't get out. And now your goals change from what you wanted to do. You still want to do what you wanted to do, but now you're tied down to something and you need something to actually work. You need something to be you. I found someone a teacher, our lecturer who can't teach without being drunk.
Wow.
It's that bad. Mtu hawezi fanya kitu. Like atanasemanga huyu lazima kwanza a charge kwanza ndio.
Hata si kutoa lock, siku kucharge.
Ndio ama ni kutoa lock ndio afanye kitu. So mostly unaonanga inakuanga evident ni venye tu hatuoni. For people who maybe wako na strict parents, you find that they'll spend their time more in the room, or they'll have they will never be there in the table to have conversations or anything. They'll just maybe people say maybe unaja he's busy, he's doing what. Don't assume. I have a cousin who eventually burnt himself in his room.
What?
Well, the parents were in the sitting room, and because
kujichoma.
And all we used to say, mimi nakumukanga the few times I interacted with him, I'd ask mbonako kwa room, and they would say wachana na yeye, anakuanga hivyo. Anakuanga hivyo, like he's quiet, he likes his own space. So people assume that he just likes his own space. When unasema tuwasumbue tu, even those, because I mean hata onyo they like their own space. Wacha tu ni confirm that you like your own space. Let me just confirm that actually you like your own space, because people, men especially, I don't know why they even find it hard to share. Like they just close in kabisa, and they don't like to share.
Huyu sasa alijichoma, did he survive?
No, he did not.
Do you know how excruciating it is hata kuchomeka?
The neighbor ndiye aliona from the balcony, and then he akapiga. So unajua ni nyumba ya iko na upstairs. So unajua ni ngumu ujue
what's happening chini.
Nyinyi mko chini. So ja notice nini inafanyika kwa room. So but I'm sure kama uko so keen hiyo ku assume si poa. Tusi assume. Wacha wakukasirikie. Mimi kwanza may disturb the quiet people the most, even in class. Nikiona watu wanatoka, I'm like, hi, nini lazima nikusumbue tu kidogo, ni confirm that you are actually a quiet person. Ndio isiende ikaharibika isemekane ati ukuje ushangae haya na venye anakuanga tu sawa. Na venye anakuanga
kwanza kuka statement tulikuwa tu jana
na alikuwa tu sawa.
Okay, I want to tie what you've just said. Let me tell you, I was telling my director just the other day, we're having conversation, Pale was up. So he was asking, we're trying to come up with the mold the topic. I told him, me, I'm writing, there's a paper I was writing about addiction. And so akili yangu ilikuwa imejaa tu hivyo. So I had to allow him to guide me. So it's funny that it's coming to place together. So immediately you said addiction. One of the things I was learning about addiction is, first of all, men are more likely to fall into any kind of a substance use. So that makes alcohol and other hallucinogens, etc., etc. So men are more likely, but if a woman falls into it, she's more likely to progress faster. I don't know why that gap is there. And then I just happened also to conclude reading a book called Confessions of Nairobi Men. So there's one particular story where this dude was an A student. A student, as in he finished school, nini, alikuwa ambitious, what. And then the household he came from, they were blessed, so they had connections here and there. So his first job was a really good one. He worked for an NGO somewhere. I think I cannot remember what he studied for, but a course that will entry level is better than some, just to put it like that. So he goes to this job and immediately he hits the ground running. He gets used to the job. He likes it. He's doing outstanding. His boss likes him. He's a good boy. He even bought himself a Subaru. Nakumbuka alikuwa amejibaya Subaru, one of the first thing with heated seats. Sijui kama unanipata na tuko Nairobi, we are not where it snows. So this progression was wonderful. I'm reading, I'm feeling, empowered, even me. I'm thinking, go boy, child, go. So I'm waiting for him to progress the story, how he met a Kashore, fell in love, maybe shida ilikuwa tu hapa ndani. No, it did not go like that. So how it went was, he now a couple of months into work, nini wapi. So he usually kept to himself again, but that was not the issue. You think you're seeing signs, but you don't really understand what you're seeing. So he said, he kept to himself. So one day, one of the boys asked him, to come for a house party. So akaka jipigia hesabu. Nasema na nimekuwa nikiwork hard, si ndio? I've been saving up, si ndio? Si ati huwa naenda out nini. Si niji reward tu tuende out, I mean surely. Si ni want to. It was not the case, my guys. So they went out. Apparently it was a house party somewhere, let me not mention the suburban area it was, but somewhere in the leafy suburbs, and it turned out to be a gaming party. So gamers unite nini wapi. The next thing una turn hivi page, unaona the next thing he did was wake up drugged, he was on the floor, he was naked, he was being assaulted. The next time kapasa out tena, the next time he found himself a few blocks away from his home. Alikuwa amevalishwa nguo inside out, alikuwa amewekwa apropiwa outside the supermarket. So now what this guy did, he used to drink polite, like one social drinking nini wapi, but from then until later, like the continuation of the story, hata sijui liishaje, he could not function without drinking. So you see, this is him trying to suppress because now he did not want to talk about what happened. And the only thing that he could figure out to do was to take alcohol, and then this alcohol would numb that kanini. And it says alcohol in itself, when you look at it in terms of intelligence, it's not a disease in itself. It's a fight with your psyche. Sijui ni ida masupa ego, there are things that are fighting in there. So how would you recognize that? Mtu unaona tu anakunywa, mnamuita mlevi, mnadhani ni jokes. But how can you tell there's something here?
It's not just ile kawaida.
Juu si ati alikuwa mlevi akianza kazi. Umesikia amekuwa akiwakada. He even saved up money nini. But at the end of the day, his boss kicked him out. Aliuza Subaru yake. He said he sold his smart double door fridge for 4K. That thing is almost how many hundreds of thousands? A buy bia mbili. How can you tell?
Okay. You can tell by the frequency in which anakunywa. Before it was just occasionally, but all of a sudden this person ako more into drinking. Na inaweza kuwa ni kitu haizi control. Maybe ilikuwa kwa genes. Unajua kuna mtu anaweza kuwa kwa genetically predisposed to addiction. So mtu hajai kunywa, hajai tumia drugs nini, but the one time tu ametumia zinaamuka. And anajipata amekuwa addicted now to the drug or to the alcohol, na anakunywa sana. So you can tell by that consistency. You can also tell by akona interest sana pia kusikiza those stories za alcohol, za drugs, za nini. Ako just interested in that. That is coupled with a change in behavior ama a change in interests. Interests zake sasa zimeenda more into wanataka nao kupati more, wanataka nini.
Alikuwa mtu wa kazi but saizi.
And prefer hata si lazima niende job. Na anakuja na ako sawa. Before maybe angekunywa na ako home, angekuwa like I feel so guilty, I didn't go to work nini, why did I do this? But sasa amefika mahali yako like well, whatever. Na wale wanasemanga ile wanifute. You know, anasema tu wanifute, you know, amefika tu place ako tu hopeless, na pia ako tu, what is the word, like ako tu anaishi tu, you know, like kihorera tu, uko tu like just like that. So unapata huyu mtu ametoka place alikuwa very motivated, very organized, na amekuja place anaishi kibasic tu.
Now, towards the end of the story, he moved back in with his parents. Na kuna time hadi alibia mama yake sijui microwave akaenda akauza. So his sister just told him, ona sasa, we are concerned about the health of our parent. So either uhame uende zako ama tukupeleke rehab. And he went to rehab like twice, but he'd come back. I want you to understand, it's not, they were trying to treat the symptom. The symptom was the binge drinking, the endlessness of the intoxication of substance use. But the actual problem was what he was going through. So how can you tell? How can before mtu akuje atuandikie barua aseme, you know what, nimechoka. Na sijitoi pia mimi mwenyewe, natoa pia watoto. As in, wamefanya makosa inakaaje. Innocent children have not done it. In fact, they did not even ask you to be born. So how can we arrest this situation before it becomes severe like this?
I think for me, we will be heavy on mentorship in terms of working with schools as they grow up, so that when someone is growing up, they already have coping mechanisms. Because you find that by the time mtu anafika hapo, like inamaanisha they missed some things along the way. So we have a responsibility as people who know better, as people who know about mental health. We are more aware. We have that responsibility to pass it down to as much as we can do. So I like to say that I call upon the men who are actually doing well to hand it down to fellow men, because you find that most men will find it hard to open up to women because we are more emotional, we are more, so maybe we don't understand their ego and how they feel. So I call upon the men who've gone ahead to be responsible for those who are still struggling and those who are still young, especially the young people. We can start with those who are still young because it's easier to mold a person who's young than a person who's already a grown man. So that we avoid these things in the future, because you find a person like kama huyo sasa, labda hata ana marafiki. Like unajua pia human beings inafikanga at some point pia unasema enough is enough, because umetry, so you start now going back. Ilianzia wapi? Maybe ilianzia home, maybe ilianzia the problems you are facing, and then someone was telling you are a man up. Huwezi kuwa unasumbuliwa na vitu ndogo ndogo kama hii. Huwezi kuwa unafanya. So it's upon even the men. It's a social responsibility. Sisi wote tu tuamke. Kama unajua, even your friends, hata tusiende mbali, maybe unadhani tunakwambia uanzishe organization kama sisi, ama ufanye, ama uende mashule. Kama wewe si not, that's not your thing. It starts even your friends, your circle, your younger siblings, your brothers, those you can reach. Try to enlighten them and tell them it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to ask for help. Asking for help does not mean you're weak. Waswahili wanasema kuuliza si ujinga. Like let's make it normal. Isikae hata kwanza mtu akuja ku open up to you and then you're like, wa
sa utadu.
Like usikue hivyo, just provide that safe space, because that's the much you can do. Wherever you can reach, do it.
I feel like before we come now to put it together in one beautiful mix. When you say mentorship, sometimes you feel do like this, like that, or it's very thematic or specific to a particular area in your life. It's not just about work. It can also be about relationships. Because once you understand, sometimes it's okay to wekwa tu single kidogo bwana, because trauma zako, alafu upatane na mtu mwingine akona trauma zake, and that just so happens that your traumas trigger each other. Na unapata watu wanachomana, sijui umesikia mtu drop kick mwingine, unapelekana kwa just first understand what's going on inside yourself before you start attaching yourself to someone who could be making a already terrible situation worse. Ama namna gani? Talk to me.
Ni kweli, you need to deal with it. Na ingine inaweza kuwa hata happen kwa mkubwa, ingine inaweza kuwa ilianza kuwa childhood
kwanza hizo ndo mbaya, they creep up from nowhere.
Exactly, because you maybe unajua kila mtoto inakuanga ni kama glue. Anything that you put on it in a stick. So her process. But now when you grow up, you start processing. You start having these behaviors and you're like, oh my God, what is happening with me? What's happening with me? Zingine kama ulijua, unapata maybe kama now, mostly men, they numb their feelings, vile unasema, na ana escape maybe to alcohol, which is now another problem. So you need to deal with the issue that you're going through. I recently made a video on childhood trauma and how it affects kwa relationship. Unapata sa trust issues zimekuwa affected because you can't trust anybody. Kama ukuwa mtoto, people did not respect you when you were a child. You grew up, maybe your mom namdi akakwambia hapana hiyo nyamazia, to maintain harmony in the community, in the familia, nini. Then vulnerability pia inakuwa affected because unapata you can't share your emotions with anybody because you're like, hey, hapana nikikuja niambia Vala atafikiria nini kunihusu. So ananyamaza. So it's important for people to reach out for help. And sometimes we may want to reach out to friends, but if your friend is not a professional, sometimes you can just be transferring the trauma to them, what we call secondary trauma. Unapata mtu alikuwa tu maybe anadina vitu zake, umekuja umeniambia kitu niko zile za and then now this person even feels even more hopeless because they're like, well, kama this is how life is. And then now mtu ana life iko tu hivi, especially with adolescents. Unapata they just feel like life is penye tu ameona na mini life is like that. So it's important for people to go and seek help and professional help. For us as mental health professionals, go to the schools, go to uko vile anasema uko chini, to mentor people, to train people on kubali help and ask for help. Because like the way you were asking that, how can we know? Some things you have to share. Because
people can only do as much.
Exactly.
You also need to be responsible for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, so lazima you share, seek professional help.
There's also something about umesema genetics, sometimes substance abuse and genetics. So I was reading also that you'd find if this particular person is genetically predisposed, and then they find adversities in life, then the likelihood of substance abuse later in life to become a pattern is very high. Sasa uwe tunasema merogwa ama? Because we're Africans. Some, you know, when you don't know something, kina nani, kwani hamjui hiyo boma yao bana. People either fear what they don't understand, or just some strange perception. Bora tu huielewi. You are either likely to hate it or you fear it. And those very strong emotions do not come hand in hand with, let me help them, let me understand, let me hear them out. So is there ever going to be a time that tutakaa tu tusikize watu? We just create, especially for men, are we ever going to have like just a safe space? Like, baba, kuna mtu amekushika pabaya. It's easier to ask a girl, if a small girl, has your uncle been touching you? Has your teacher been touching you? Umesikia huyo mtoto wa South Africa juzi, the 7-year-old who was atastai kuleta hiyo story hapa juu nitakasirika bure. But there was a child in South Africa, 7 years old, who was molested by several people, including the head teacher, inside the school. Sawa, school premises. Akingoja kuchukuliwa after school. So there was a whole riot. They Gen Z'd over there in South Africa. I think it was last week or last week but one. Is there a time that we will make such noise for small boys? Did someone touch you? Did someone look at you funny? Did someone make you do something that you didn't want to do, you're not comfortable with? And then they told you, oh, you're special, I like you the best, that's why I'm making you do this. Or if you tell your parents, I'll say you're the one who made me do this. Is that time we're going to make it okay for the boy child to speak out?
We have to create that time. It won't come magically. We have to create it. We have to create those spaces. And we'll draw this challenge to the men. Create those safe spaces. Create them as a father. Kutoka tu kwa nyumbani tu, as a father, create that safe space, because now the son will relate more with you. As much as us women, we will love to come and do it, and we will do it, but the men need to take up their responsibility, to know that it's a responsibility to mentor the boys that are coming up. Kama wenye wamesha kama hapo, wengine they are already older, create that space. Let men come in as a group. Let them share, how are you doing? Because if, like, for us here, wanza kutuuliza how are you doing, we can share, we can talk. So many things.
Yes. Actually, I think that's what I love about our relationships as women. Yeah, we get that safe space. Like, wezi tu nyamazia.
Exactly. Ni kama inatuasha.
And then they nag you, they call you, they... Yeah.
Yeah, so the men also have to create that space for the fellow men to share. Hata kama ni, you don't have to be at your profession when you create your space. Just sema mimi kwa mahali niko, kama ni kwa kijiji in the village, tengeneza, start with wewe na sani yako, ita sani ya mwingine, ita another father, meet 2 fathers and 2 sons, mentor those boys, hivyo mwende mkiongezeka. Kama ni shule, you know, create a safe space. I know, like, in Multimedia University they used to have this chill and talk, and you just chill and you just share what are you going through, you know, and it works magic. Someone, hata kama si wote, someone will open up and you will have saved a life. We may not save everyone, but at least you'll save one life.
Okay. Okay, I like the concept of talking, but I've also come across gentlemen who said sometimes unaweza kuwa unaongea and not everyone has your best interest at heart. So you might be telling the wrong person. But I encourage, hizo mavitu journals, I really I think therapy is a very good thing, guys. Now kama unaweza, I said this before and I'm not ashamed to say it again, kama unaweza afford mzinga, imagine unaweza afford therapy. And I see must kwa kila siku or kila wiki, but where you can.
I think I'm going home with that.
Yeah, kama unaweza, if you can, like she said, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity.
It's a necessity.
And I also want you to take away that therapy is not, going to therapy does not mean there's something wrong with you. Sometimes you just want to take your thoughts apart and see, because a therapist won't tell you do this, do this, do this. That's not what therapy is. Tunakaa hapo atiroda kuambia, oh, hivyo fanya hivi, kesho ukiamka fanya hivi asubuhi, uamke ukule ndizi, uweke maji kwa ice. No, that's not what they tell you. They lead you up to your own solution. So wewe mwenyewe ndio unajitafutia solution, ni sawa. So
na hawezi ambia mtu. It's against the profession. It's against the ethics.
But if still that's not something, other things are possibly there, like grounding. If you like outdoor things, just go outside, piga nduru. Kuna mtu aliniambia alikula heartbreak fulani, ilibidi apelekwe na boys waende ziplining, apige nduru moja smart.
Yeah.
Imtoke bana. So of importance ni kutoka.
Yes.
Wacha ikutoke hivyo. Hata kama ni unangoja mvua inyeshe ndio uende upige walk, ulie, useme ni kunyesha umenyeshewa ni sawa. Ama ungoje kuingia kwa bafu ndio ule, it's fine. Bora ikutoke. And some things are best done without, actually most things are best done when you're sober. Let the feelings kidogo to motivate. Kidogo tu hivi to motivate. But if we were to conclude and were to talk to both boy or girl children, you can choose, or whichever is fine. But how would you tell someone today, because you never know mtu ameamkaje, ama anaenda kupitia nini, ama amekuwa kifikiriaje? So how would you encourage them to just, it's gonna be okay? Hiyo ndio message nataka upitishe in your own words. I'll start with you.
Okay, what I'd tell someone is that if kama umeamka leo, acha niseme tu venye mimi wanajiambia. If I'm awake today, it means there's still something I can do. And for me, I really base it on my faith that God would not wake me up if there's not something for me to do, if my purpose is not yet done. And I just like to encourage you that you bring light to the people you're around, because you find that even in these cases when someone is gone, there are people who really hurt. And if you cannot live for yourself, then live for these people. Remember those who depend on you. Remember those who love you. Remember your friends. I remember there's a time I really wanted, I was just like sinilale tu na nisiamke, like kwani ni must niamke. But then I attended a seminar, and that person was telling us that so if suicide is very selfish, like you're just looking at fungua macho, anza kuangalia. Now if you die, what will your younger sister feel? And then they come grow up and realize that ulijiua. You're passing down the trauma, because she might also end up going the same way. Remember your friends. How are they going to cope? Remember that one person who really depends on you. How will life look like for them? And I think that's what I take the responsibility for, that I have a responsibility for even other people. And so I have to push myself. I have to find things that work for me. I have, for example, I know how, I take myself into spaces where I know I will get help. I know if I stay with these people, I'll not be in the same space. Just have that hope. Hata kama hauna, shikilia ile moja. Just find one thing that is really important to you, and that inakupush, and you hold on to that until you find another reason. If for you it's your sister, hold on to that. Sema basi, I'm living for this person until the day you find something else to do. So it's never, I think it's also never that serious. I mean, we put so much pressure onto ourselves. I need to do this, I need to do that. Just sometimes the way you say, just take time off. Enjoy the sun, enjoy the walk around. Uhuru Park is free. Enda Uhuru Park, utembe, utoke, urudi, you go. You know, don't be so fixed. And maybe it's not your fault. Maybe you've grown up and people have been, maybe your parents have been putting that pressure on you and it has been happening. But at this point, just know that it's your responsibility. Take it up and be the best you can be, and just push yourself. Inakwanga tu niwe unajipea tu, unajitia moyo. Kama ni queen cake, kama cupcake ndo inakupea nguvu. Kula hiyo queen cake and you start moving. Yeah, I think that's what I would say.
When Muluya at maybe a very short sentiment from you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Just know that you're not alone. There are people who care. As much as maybe you may have experienced a lot of betrayal from the people around you, there are people you don't know that care. And maybe even the three of us, we care. Maybe there's nobody else.
Guys, I can love you for absolutely no reason. If people can hate others, for, like unakatu, unasikia tu ati damu haita. What do you mean? Damu haijui bana, ati damu haipeni. Rubbish. We love you. Don't go anywhere. Where you go, stay with us. And please, if I was to tell you something, no one has it all together. Ain't nobody has it all. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you're looking around, people look happy. No one has it together. Please, sawa, we are just all trying. And with that note, thank you so very much, ladies. They can see this conversation. We can continue and continue and continue, but we will have to press break today. Thank you so very much for allowing us into your spaces, into your homes, or wherever you're watching us from. So from myself, that is Valentine, or at Kalamival, and of course, Grasha Maingi. We wish you a fantastic day. Thank you for watching Y in the Morning. Please stay tuned here on channel Y254, because we have so much more. Bye-bye.